Welcome back, folks, to the Get a Grip on Lighting podcast. On today's show, we have Ben Fischer and Paul Hudson of Salex, but also they're coming out hot, really, really hot, Greg Ehrich. You know what they get? They got this Sourcery.com. It's spelled GOSOURCERY.com. They're trying to tackle something that, a lot of people haven't been able to tackle. What they're saying is, you're always pulled in different directions when you have all these orders, especially the agent crowd where they're managing like project orders and they got 10 different vendors on a thing and everyone wants to know when they're going to get their stuff, and people are looking to do specify products. Where do I go to find it? And they've come up with sort of like a social media platform for specifiers, where the specifiers are using it to interact with manufacturers and agents. And I want everyone listening to go check out GoSourcery.com. That's GOSOURCERY.com. And they say it's a go-to platform. We're going to see. I'm excited by it. That brings everyone and everything together all in one spot. So you can you can build your own kind of Pinterest on this thing. And you know what? I think the industry might need this, Greg Ehrich.
Yeah, no, I think that sounds hot. I mean, I just think you said specifiers at the beginning, but why not distributors?
They brought it up on the show. Distributors too. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, like I do projects all the time, and I have 5 different vendors, and it's like, okay, well, we can't do that because I don't know where it's at, and then you got to go call people, email people, check things. One source is what you're telling me? One area?
Yeah.
Let's go.
Go Sourcery. And we're not talking about the witch kind. We're talking about sourcing stuff, right? So it's kind of like a blend of words. And, of course, the National Association of Innovative Lighting Distributors, folks, NEILD, the presenter of this podcast from day one. We have our convention coming up, Dallas Market Center, September 13th through 16th. Yeah, that's right. Be there, be square, folks. Go to NEILD.org to register. But right now, let's talk about this conversation I had with Ben Fischer and Paul Hudson. Almost screwed it up there, but you guys are okay with that. Ben Fischer and Paul Hudson coming in hot right now. Welcome back, folks, to the Get a Grip on Lighting podcast. On today's show, we're minus Greg Ehrich due to technical problems. Tell him to pay his internet bill down there in Minnesota, sucker. That's right, because we need you in the show. But today, I got these guys, 2 guys here solo in studio. We got Ben Fischer, the CEO of Salex, and his partner in crime, Paul Hudson, the CEO of Salex. Welcome to the show, guys.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Now, it's I read this. I'm a little bit nervous because the last thing the lighting industry needs is another revolution. But you guys have cooked something up here. Tell me a little bit about how Sourcery, so it's GoSourcery.com. Tell me a little bit about how you guys envisioned Sourcery from the beginning.
Yeah, it started pre-pandemic, so late 2019, early 2020, and it was really just a frustration with the industry, how things operate. Everybody in the chain was speaking about their frustration, and really my thing was nobody was doing anything about it. So where it began was, what do we do about it? And we started to mind map how we handle the problems, how the flow of distribution, purchase orders go today, and how we want it to be mapped out. And so we saw that there's a lot of inefficiencies in the chain, and then COVID struck. And what happened when that struck is everybody was working remotely. So it really accelerated this business as working remotely. How can we collaborate? How can we create efficiencies and be aligned even though we're working apart? So that's where it began.
What about you? Were you in from the beginning here or what?
Yeah, I was probably a month or 2 late. These guys were preemies, so I was a little bit late to the party, but they called me up and asked me to become a part of this thing. And at the time, I thought they were both a little nuts. And then when we sat down and had our first beer meeting, it went really well. And, I think I saw where they were trying to go and being the elder statesman of the bunch. I think they saw the value in me being able to sort of drive the product and use my knowledge of the industry and from both sides of the fence to be able to help grow this thing.
So you guys decided to become software developers. What a disaster.
Yeah, it's scary.
Scary. It's
from an agency to a lighting. Yeah, software is a whole different animal.
Man, it's tough.
It's different.
Yeah.
Even the way you fund them, even the people involved in the industry from what we're used to in lighting, it's night and day. It's really interesting. Even the terminology, everything is so different.
2 big dumb lighting sales
guys
exactly. Software is a bit of a jump.
It's putting a circle in a square out there, buddy.
It's a bit of a jump.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing is, I've worked with software developers. I've developed, nothing like an outside collaborative platform that people log into, but for here, for my own people. And it's, software developers, they strike me like tradesmen, like electricians or something.
Yeah.
And they need a good architecture. How did you guys, when you had the idea, you said that you know what you wanted. Well, actually, before we go, tell me what it is that you wanted to have happen with Sourcery. And are we there yet? And then I'm going to get into the second part.
Yeah, what we wanted to map out what an MVP, like the minimum viable product was. And what that was is like basically a lighting schedule that could be collaborated on, right? If you look at all the consultants across the industry, whether it's North America or even in Europe, it's usually Excel or Word, right? It's usually Excel or Word, that's it. So we're like, there's a lot of platforms out there that, like Asana, like all the majors, right, that we collaborate on, but we don't have a tool to create lighting schedules, manage addendums, manage all those things, issuing for tender. So we said, okay, our minimal viable is a kind of interactive lighting schedule. And then our goal from there was to create kind of the Pinteresty vibe, which was the social media aspect, the gamification, the ability for vendors to put their content in front of the people who consume it, which is the people creating the schedules.
Who's going to pay?
Right now, it's going to be the manufacturers and the agents. Initially, we had
That's
thought
both.
about
Both sides are paying.
Both sides.
Both sides are paying for the specifiers is what's happening, right?
Okay.
Because the specifiers is who this platform's built for. It's built for the specification market. It's supported by the manufacturers and the agents, and they're the ones who are going to fill it, and they're the ones that are going to distribute the content. And then as the adaptation happens at the specification level, they're the ones that are going to consume the content.
Isn't it so fascinating that even into the lighting agency world, the user of the software is the product? Like the specifier is now your product, which you sell to agents and manufacturers. Like Facebook, the user of Facebook is the product. They're not the customer.
Nope.
That's such a fascinating shift that we've gone through, and we're starting to see it trickle into these areas. How excited are you? Do you think this is going to work? Like, I mean, you guys are taking a big risk here. You're splashing out.
Yeah, we're on track. We just got the numbers in. We're at 1,000 users, and our forecast for this year, 2022, was 2,000. So we're right on pace midway through the year. We've seen a huge uptick since Lightfair, and so really our goal this year is to white glove service all the consultants that join. Really make sure the adaptation, the onboarding is seamless for them. And what we see happening organically is vendors reaching out to us saying, "Hey, what is this platform? How do I get involved? How do I reach my specifiers?" Because again, with COVID, what was happening is regionals aren't going out and seeing their people. Right, regionals aren't flying across the country to visit all the territories.
Sure.
And those flights and those people and the hotels, all that is very expensive. So when we organized the platform, we said, well, look, if you can pay the kind of modest enterprise package to be on and get in front of the people that consume it, it eliminates a lot of those other costs of sending regionals out all across the country.
Go ahead, finish up.
No, I was going to say there's a big chicken egg challenge to it at the beginning, right? Because you're talking to the specifiers going, get on our platform. They're like, what's on there? Nothing. Then you go to the manufacturer, you're like, you should get on our platform. Oh, who's looking at it? Nobody. Right? So there was a huge chicken and egg. And, us being very much inside of the business and having a lot of experience in the business enabled us to sort of leverage those relationships to get people. And we're pretty well trusted. We have a good reputation.
Sure.
So people were willing to hold hands and jump off the cliff with us a little bit.
So
and that's what led. A little bit. A little bit.
We're appreciative. Like, they stepped up and supported us in the venture, and really, it's a small community. It's a small industry. We all know that. And so the minute they knew who we were, and we weren't trying to sell them something, we're trying to change the industry and make it better for everybody involved. And that, I think we'll probably get to the competition discussion of who of our competitors are. What we've seen in our analytics around the competitors is that it was always one-sided. It was either sales or it was consultants.
Sure.
It was never both sides coming together and saying, what are our collective pain points? What are the distributors' pain points? And acknowledging everybody's pain points and trying to incorporate them into the platform. And I think that's what sets us apart. And even meeting with investors and all the like of those people, they're really intrigued that it's people within the industry creating a platform to solve the issues, not tech people trying to impose their solutions.
The tech people can't do anything for us.
Exactly.
You know why? Like, I've thought of this a lot. Like, Uber is actually not that complicated an idea.
No.
Like, if you think about it, like Facebook, Uber, think of these popular tech, Airbnb. I have a room. There's people out there that want a room. Connect them.
Yeah.
The stuff we do in electrical and lighting is way more complicated.
Yeah.
And they don't have, you need most of our agencies, distributors, manufacturers, they're relying on knowledge workers to interact with one another and to engage in specification of dark sky friendly lighting system for this national park or something like that, right? And you're giving them an avenue where the specifiers can then find those products on Sourcery.
Yep.
And then specify them.
Follow them just like you would in Instagram or Pinterest. You can follow, like, share it with your organization, make it an organizational collection of things you prefer to use. Maybe it's a dark sky collection that you follow.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
And what that does for the specifier too is creates organizational memory, because there's a lot of turnover at specifiers' offices these days, people moving around.
Yeah, that's a problem.
So you can kind of, yeah, exactly. So you can create your suite of products that you go to as a senior management group and say to your juniors that come on board, use this, right? This is our suite of products that we use, and you're always looking for new. And it's we use the analogy of you're not going to Blockbuster to rent movies anymore, right? You're not putting catalogs on shelves anymore. So this is the virtual version of that, but there's a ton of organizational memory created out of that.
Yeah,
process.
it's a great way for exactly that. It's a great way for manufacturers to disseminate their products, right, down to their regional salespeople, then down to their agencies, and then out to their specifiers. It's a great tool for agents to take all the different manufacturers, rewrap, put them into cool collections, say your best bollards, your best linear, right? And then share that with the people that it most, rather than just email blasting. And
are the manufacturers interested in being grouped in this way by the agents?
So yes and no. Yes and no, because any manufacturer that's worth their weight in salt understands that they're always in a bucket with somebody else, right? So they know they're not the only line on our line card, right? I mean, how many pot lights?
4-inch round.
There's a couple.
Exactly.
There's a couple out there. So, they understand that they're not the only game in town, but it's, they want to be part of that. That's all. Nobody wants the whole pie. They want a good part of the pie, and they want their portion. So we're able to do it in a way. And when I'm selling it to manufacturers, and I was on a call earlier today, it's a way for you to curate your own collections, right? To pass them down to us, to have us sort of manipulate them a little bit, pass them on to the specifier. And if the specifier, similar to being a Beatles fan, loves, right, a manufacturer, they're going to follow that manufacturer because they want the updates. They want to know what the latest and greatest is. And so similar to that, there's a real Spotify part to it. When you collect the playlist, somebody follows that playlist, and then they get the updates when everything happens.
Interesting. What social media platform did you guys kind of base this on? If there's one out there that the general public...
Spotify, we always say it's Spotify mixed with Wayfair and Pinterest. That's our mixture. So if you study, we have a person on our team that came from Weed Maps when it was a startup. So you'll notice similarities with that company too, even though it has nothing to do with our industry, just the way they organize their marketing spots, how you can follow and like collections, align with certain vendors. You'll see a lot of similarities in that, but we always compare to Spotify, where you may have a playlist you want to share with somebody, they can follow that playlist, they can make their own, right? Because not everybody likes the exact same thing, but there's variations. So those were the three that we modeled after. And we looked at, there's other platforms out there that try to maintain everybody else's data, and that's not a sustainable model.
No.
Well, we talked about this before the interview.
Sure.
The majors, what they do is create a platform for people to come to and share and consume content. Nobody tries to manage everybody else's data. That's just not a sustainable model. So that's a big differentiator from our platform.
I tell every manufacturer, this is not a product dump. This is not a SKU dump. We don't want 100,000 of your SKUs.
Yeah, you could get crazy with it.
Yeah, you don't want that, right? This is curated collections, things that people are going to have interest in following,
hot.
sharing.
What's hot now?
Yeah, using it on specification, and then...
I mean, come on, guys. 90% of all orders are less than 5% of all fixtures.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And all the categories, high end, low end, mid tier, whatever it is.
Yep.
It's like there's and even in the lamp replacement stuff, 90% of all orders are like this.
Same lamp.
15. Maybe you could do like a special, if you were from a light bulb salesman perspective, like miniatures would be a good place for this. LED miniature replacements would be an interesting thing to see, like kind of brought together in my own Pinterest page where I could select and grab. Yeah.
We've only scratched the surface in terms of focus, because again, Salex focuses on the spec community, and some of our partners are from the spec community, so that's the reason why we wanted to focus on that first. But there's no reason, and I've had conversations with agents who do distributor work, and I've said there's no reason why you can't just create a distributor package if you're a Signify distributor or you're a Cooper distributor or whatever, right? That you could make a stock and flow package saying, okay, this is my offering, here's where the pricing's at, here's what you're offering today, that sort of thing. So there's a number of places it can
National
go.
account. Actually, I got a call today on big national accounts for distributors. So they want to put out the suite of product that's available to this client. And then as things change or things get discontinued or lead times get extended, they can change it around, and their client can view what it is that they're supplying at any given time and see what stock levels are.
Mhm.
And that's all live. So
Do you guys have an API?
API.
Like, can
yeah,
information be taken
yes,
out
yes.
of it and put into other
Sorry,
people's
just
systems?
generally, yeah.
Yes.
So we have I don't know if you've taken a look at the thing, but we are going to plug into Procore. We're looking
Yes.
at all these different APIs. It's what's the priority for right now. So
Yeah.
Autodesk is a big one. Procore, because it's a major
Revit.
construction management. Revit's a huge one,
Mhm.
but that's still spec. You can see the kind of elements of spec there. As we evolve, like Salesforce is something we're talking
Sure.
about,
Yeah.
and the evolution. And we always say standing on the shoulders of giants. We're not trying to recreate every bit of software. We're trying to use our platform and utilize other platforms to integrate and create a powerful solution for everyone.
Is it built in React or Angular or one of those languages? Do you know? Or is Facebook or
that's
Google
for our
language?
CTO. I can't
Yeah,
answer that one.
neither of those sound familiar
Okay.
though.
No.
But again, big dumb sales guys, right?
Yeah.
You're talking.
Yeah, sure. I
But
get it.
we have I can touch on that. Our development team, we have two teams, one locally, one overseas.
Sure.
We have about 15 to 30 developers at any
Yeah.
That's a
given
lot,
sprint.
man.
Yeah.
And we
Full-time.
kind of mind map. We have our CTO. We have people that kind of, and our own internal DevOps people that review. So we create what we call our sprints. We outline the different features we want them to sprint. We send it to them. They map that out for us, and they deliver it to us. So we have a whole team, and that's not either of us. So that's probably why you're getting this answer. But
Yeah.
Sure.
that works on that for us on a daily basis.
You know, it's interesting. You have something in common with the Get a Grip on Lighting podcast. Okay, so which is something I started, which is like, you know, people say there was other lighting podcasts out there, but not
Sure.
really like from the trenches of the streets.
Mhm.
There was lighting design. Look at this lighting design and stuff like
Yeah,
that,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
That we talked about. But for me, it was like I want to look at industry issues, discuss them, discuss new technology, what's happening, is it legit, is it, you know, whatever, see what's out there.
Yep.
And so what I discovered on this journey is that, you know, 5,000 listeners to the Get a Grip on Lighting podcast is actually way more worth it than 1 million to the Joe Rogan Experience.
Mhm.
If you think about the scale, like someone who listens to 45 minutes of Get a Grip on Lighting is way more valuable than someone who listens to 3 hours of Joe Rogan
Yeah.
because you don't know who that person is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know by definition that someone who listens to Get a Grip on Lighting probably buys $1 million to $20 million worth of lights a year.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yep.
Or influences that decision or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
So you guys are in the same situation where your users are very valuable, actually.
Oh yeah. It's very concentrated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you guys can get to that critical mass,
Yep.
you know, it becomes very valuable to everybody. And I guess there's a bit of a race to that, which is where we're going to get to
Yeah.
now. What kind of competition did you look at when you guys said, you know, what's out there now in 2019 pre-COVID when you started? You know, you don't have to tell me who they are,
Yeah.
but just, you know, what are they trying to do? Are they actually competitors? Sometimes they're not. You think they are, but they're not, right? There's other lighting podcasts. They're not competitors to us.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, we without mentioning names, we met with actually a couple just to
Yeah.
understand what they're doing, and you know, you always want to understand what your competition's doing, and you know, even if with one of them in particular, we agreed that we're not really competition. The way they're doing it, the way we're doing it is totally different, and that's why I say managing other people's content, right? So if you have a smaller manufacturer who wants to release a downlight and manage, you know, 10,000 SKUs, they'll do that for you. Where that's not us, right? We're creating a social platform as a tool for design. The other one that we studied closely was designed by a specifier, by a major consultant, multinational,
Yeah.
and it was a pay to play. So you had to pay to be on their specs. But that's one single consultant. It's not a solution for the entire industry.
Sure.
So that was our closest two competitors. And we took bits and pieces from each, but really we realized that finally we're considering all sides, like we touched on before,
Sure.
and trying to create a solution with the industry, right? Because it's a small industry. And so we're listening to our users and putting those into our sprints. Like we want an integration in Autodesk. Okay, done. Right, we're trying to listen to the industry and adopt. So we had our MVP, like I touched on before. Once we hit the MVP, we started listening.
What's the
to
MVP?
minimum viable product.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yes,
right,
okay.
where we wanted to launch. This is
Yep.
our launch point, which was
Yeah.
January 1 this year.
Yep.
And from there, what we're doing is we're hearing our MVP users and saying, what do you want to see? What would be helpful for you? Like, how do you want us to evolve? And we've got a ton of valuable feedback. And the interesting is, we want you to expand beyond lighting.
I
That's
thought
one of the first bits of feedback.
Sorry, but
Yeah.
I thought it was funny early on when we met with some of these people that we would get off the phone or out of the room or wherever we had these meetings and we would immediately say, we're already past them. Like we don't need those guys, or ours is better
Conceptually or actually in development?
both.
Okay.
Both.
Because
And it
the
was-
concept is different too, right?
It is.
Oh, it
Yeah.
was, and
Yeah.
you know, even some of them looked at us and went, "Oh."
Oh yeah.
You
Uh-oh.
could see their faces just,
Yeah.
and they were like, "You're past." And this is in the middle of 2021,
Yeah.
maybe third quarter of 2021. We knew that we had already sort of leapfrogged a lot of the competitors out there already.
Let me bring this back to some lighting industry dork stuff,
Sure,
or like
yeah.
sort of concepts in that, and we'll segue back into Sourcery. The channel. Okay, so the channel was obliterated. I don't know if you guys noticed from the agent perspective, but manufacturer sells to distributor or agents. Some distributors are direct, some goes through agents.
Mhm.
Agents and to sell to distributors, they sell to contractors who then put it, to put it on a spec. There's specifiers in there somewhere, and there's like this channel that flowed for decades and
Yeah,
decades and
yeah.
decades. Now some people cheated, so I'm not going to say their name. Bleep it out, Scott. But there was large, big three companies that started their own installation departments
Sure.
and stuff
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Kind of,
We know. Yeah.
you know what I'm talking about? But I actually see the channel reforming and kind of restructuring from the agent's perspective. Do you guys see that as well?
Yeah, and I'll let you go after that. I just want to touch
Yeah.
on there's an intentional, like early days when we mind mapped what this would look like and how everybody is involved and interacts with the platform. There was an intentional decision made to make sure the chain stays similar. Everybody has their role and they interact with the role on the platform, but not to completely break the chain. So I would agree with you that it's coming back, but in a more organized fashion. And again, addressing the pain points of each person in that chain.
Yeah, I think it's the same. I think there was an appetite for a while where, there was discussions and people asking questions. And for us, we've been, Salix has been around for 50 years next year, right?
Wow.
So it's
Congratulations.
not, yeah, it's not a new, and so, for us it was important, and we have a very strong set of values from a business standpoint that we like to maintain. And so it was important for us to not be the person that made that leap, right? Whether it was a GC or an EC or whomever, sort of coming to sniff around to see what the possibilities were. We always wanted to go back and say, you know what, this is the chain, this is the way it works. And we're trying to build that into what we're doing now as well.
So you're reforming this software
Trying to shore
around
it
the
up a little
channel
bit.
that existed. It was very powerful to 2012.
Yeah.
And then people have their different roles within that software.
Yeah.
Right, the specifiers. You're saying distributors are also an extension on the agents. There's an agent can say, here's our lines. I've actually curated some content based on my relationship with you. What do you think of this?
Yep.
Can the customers, the specifiers, or the distributors turn around and say, actually, I want more of this? How do they work within that?
Yeah, so the big thing where we're starting at and minimum viable was distributors really love the ability to look at shop drawings, manage delivery dates, all that
Sure,
stuff in the
yes.
platform.
Yeah.
So that's where we're starting. And then the evolution is perhaps using integrating with platforms that we use for quoting to the distributors so that it's all logged in Sourcery and that they can issue their POs. So the PO comes in, we send it to the vendor. It's
So you
all
guys
done
have pricing within the platform?
Yeah, so it'll evolve all through there, and then the shop drawings get issued through the platform, so they can always review it. And a few steps down the chain, the owner can view it, but with certain things eliminated. Like there won't be pricing exposed to the owner. I know that's a big concern, but they can view where their shop drawings are, where's your delivery
Yeah.
dates, and think about your consumer experience. We talk a lot about Amazon and all the things you use on a daily basis, especially with with COVID, and how that really accelerated our online purchases and how you interact from a consumer standpoint. We reflected on that and said, well, why can't somebody just log on a Saturday and see where his fixtures are or her fixtures? Like, it's such a novel idea, and so there's so much human interaction, human error. There's no transparency. Once it's logged, timestamped, you can see who signed off on the drawings, where they are. All those things can take place, but people still play their role.
So you're planning to manage order tracking
Yep.
through the software
It's in there now.
It's in there now.
That's
But shipping, what do they call those?
Tracking numbers.
numbers
Yep,
and all
that's in
that's in there. You can
Yep.
click it. You can go to FedEx,
Yep.
UPS, Canada Post,
That's
Yeah.
all been sort of
USPS.
that's been one of the big surprises,
For
right?
sure.
Being out selling the product when we started talking, and we moved that up in our dev, right? Because we realized very quickly there's a huge appetite for this, right?
There is a huge appetite.
So
for
part of that
absolutely.
transparency and part of that piece of everybody. I mean, the specifiers now, once tender happens, to be honest, a lot of the specifiers, they're not as aware of what's going on. If we phone them half the time, we have more knowledge, right, in talking to the EC or the distributor about what's happening or what the delivery schedule or anything. So now everybody being able to go in and see that information in one spot is gigantic
Yeah.
and doesn't exist in our industry today.
There are other things that are doing order tracking. I've
Yes.
seen those. I've seen manufacturers. I think there's going to be a race to see whose platform gets adopted.
Yep.
I don't know if everyone's going to want. How do you guys do it? Are you going into their systems and taking their shipping data and pulling it in, or are they uploading it?
So the way I describe it to everybody, because distributors have been calling me, how do we integrate? How do we bring this into our organization? And so the big thing you have to remember is, how does it exist today? And what it is emails. Mm-hmm. It's an email coming from the manufacturer that goes to us through the distributor out to the client, right? So what we say is, okay, now that the manufacturer can upload the date and the shop drawings, you have the ability to view it, share it, make notes on it. And so we're not really disrupting. We're just taking it from email and putting it in our platform. Mm-hmm. The evolution from there is we're listening to the client's pain points and trying to evolve. But again, if we go to the MVP, we're just literally taking it out of email and putting it into the platform, so there's more synergy between the different groups that are the user base. And there's also, we still have to learn distributors' pain points around pricing, exposure, right?
Sure.
How they interact with their clients.
Yeah.
But that's all building off the MVP.
Yeah.
You wouldn't believe how different the pricing is from distributor to distributor.
Right.
As someone who manages Nailed, there's actually a lot of variation based on region.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
Like some regions pay way more for something than other regions.
We
Like
know.
Toronto's a low price LED
Low
region.
margin. Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, there's just not. I mean, I think it has to do with the big community of Chinese immigrants we have, that they start businesses. They have LED import businesses all over the place up here in Markham.
Mm-hmm.
They're everywhere. There's probably 21 within a 15-minute walk of here. I'm not kidding you.
Yeah.
And so, hey, good luck to you guys. I wish you all the best as a business owner. But they drive me crazy.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's a race to the bottom in Toronto. Whereas
Yep.
you take, I don't know, North Dakota or somewhere, out in the Pacific Midwest, north of California, it's not nearly as competitive.
Yep.
Nope.
Yep.
And so the pricing's all over the map.
Yeah,
You
I
guys-
always make a joke that if we had this agency anywhere else but Toronto, we'd be doing this podcast from a yacht somewhere in the Caribbean. 'Cause-
Problem is, man, people Toronto's a massive market.
Yep.
I mean, how many cranes do you see
Fourth
every
largest.
day
Yeah.
in Toronto? I
In
mean,
North America, it's like that. It was winning for a while. Number
Yeah.
of cranes in the cranes.
Yeah,
in the
I
I
sky.
think
mean,
it still might be.
I think more homes under construction for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
In
Yeah.
the world than there is here. So there's a big I mean, you can say that, but it's kind of like a New York problem.
Yep.
Like
Yeah.
this is the big smoke, man.
Yep.
You got to be able to fight hard.
Mm-hmm.
I always said though, if you can make it in New York, maybe you can't make it everywhere. Maybe you can only make it in New York.
Yeah.
Tough
You
guy.
just
I don't know.
You just wouldn't make money anywhere.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Or maybe you would. Who knows? Move to Portland, Oregon, or something.
Yeah.
Okay. What's the plan long term with this? Like, where do you guys? Are you guys going to be on a yacht because of Sourcery? Like, is it
Good
going to, how are you going to chase other people? Like, do you guys have a plan to win this? Because it's a race here.
Yes.
Our ambition is just to fundamentally make a difference in the industry. We all
Yep.
love it. We've been in it forever. I'm
Yep.
third generation in the lighting business. There's so much frustration at every level for how the distribution chain interacts, how slow, everybody, has gripes with lighting. So
Sure.
my ambition, our kind of 2, 5, 10-year plan is to onboard as many key specifiers and, high level, even distributors, national accounts, make sure that we hear all their pain points, integrate in the software, really focus on our integrations, our APIs. And then from there, I think it's organic growth. I'm not, we're going to evolve into other disciplines like mechanical and such, but we
Sure.
want to make sure lighting's done, because I heard in another podcast you talking about the variables in lighting. And lighting is one of the most complex.
Yep.
So our goal was to address all the
Intentionally made so,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Intentionally made so.
if we address the variables in lighting, furniture, mechanical, door hardware, it becomes not easier, but at least we've created the structure to handle all that data.
Yeah, I think it's cool.
Hang on one second. Get a
Yes.
grip on lighting, listeners. I just want to announce that Ben Fischer wants to serve the industry. I'm going to have to go over to Paul Hudson about this one. Who's are you? I mean, I get it.
Yeah.
We all want to serve the
Yeah.
industry.
Yeah.
Right? We all want to serve the
Yeah.
industry. But that service, your P&L, your profit and loss,
Sure.
it has to be exceeded. I'm excited about something like this.
Yeah.
I get the service to the industry.
Yeah.
How do you guys going to win? How do you want to win it?
I think we're winning right now from the inside out, right?
you?
And I think the same way, when I joined Salex in 2006, there was 8 of us, right? And now there's 53 people
No.
at Salex.
2006.
So, yes.
Wow. Congratulations on that too.
I got to think that comes from how we do business, right? In the philosophy of doing what you say you're going to do, right? Under promise, over deliver, which we've learned this business is different that way. But
Yeah.
I just think that things are fairly simple, and that success is doing exactly what you say you're going to do, right? And so us coming at it from the inside, we're providing a solution to a problem that is age old at this point,
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
The word Excel reference is 40 years old, and
Yeah,
nothing's
sure.
really changed since then. And so I think there's an appetite in this market. I think we've got a good handle on it. We got a great team of people, which is also what things come down to, right? You can't go anywhere without good people. And so I do believe, maybe arrogantly, but I think it's realistic to believe that we're going to be very successful. And I think it's just a way that we manage it. And next up for us is basically on how we're going to sort of deploy to all those other markets in a way that we can scale up in a manageable way.
What's interesting about what you just said, and I've observed this just as doing this podcast and then, meeting so many successful people. There's something about successful people and showing up on time, keeping your word,
Yep.
Doing what you say you're going to do,
Yep.
all those things that you're talking about. And people, kind of laugh about that. I procrastinated or, these kinds of things. I always say on the show, the devil's a procrastinator, not a liar, man.
Yeah.
Procrastination causes all the problems.
Yep.
It makes you regret things in life. And you guys said, screw it. We're going to take a chance. We're going to become software developers. So I admire that. And, I think what Ben's referencing is that he's created something, if I may,
Yes,
that's a win-win-win.
it is.
Yep.
And when it's a win-win-win, that means that, we get enough money in to cover our costs and our investment and cover our capital and what we put into it. And the people that are paying for this
Yep.
are getting enough value in it that it's worth it for them to pay.
Yep. Well, at the end of the day, if they don't see value in it, they're not going to use it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, they'll just jump off as quickly as they jumped on. And so, that's what's important to us. That's why we don't stop the push. And as salespeople, by design, you want to win, right? You're
Yes.
always in it to win, right?
Sure.
That's how you.
But the
do
best
it.
is when there's no losers.
Yeah, of course. Nobody
know?
gets hurt, right?
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
the big thing. And so, in this process thus far, nobody's getting hurt, right?
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
just an upside. And so I think that's part of.
And you talk dollars and cents. We how do people make money, right? And we surveyed a lot of the major consultants we partner with and are working with, and like their bottom line, is continually being suppressed by number of hours allowed for a project. So how they improve that, become more efficient with those hours on the project. Distributors, how do they manage spending less time on each project, less touch points, creates more efficiency, improves your bottom line. Same with agencies, same with vendors. So we've evaluated everybody in the supply chain, how they make money and how we can improve that. And really this was born on kind of high level, everybody's involvement, but we've reflected on their bottom line and how they make money.
Yeah, this isn't going to make manufacturing more efficient.
No.
No.
Right? It isn't.
And what it's
But
going to do is,
gonna
I think
fix the
if it
process.
flies, it's going to be the specifiers that drive it.
Yep.
Yep.
That push and say, listen, just get on this platform and we'll
Yep.
talk to you.
Yep.
Yep.
Because I'm doing my stuff here and I got my little pages of this.
Well, and
guy
we've already
that
sort
guy.
of seen that with
Have
the
you? Yeah.
adoption, of the specifiers. You're seeing people that are now reaching out, going, "Okay, I need to talk to
Yeah.
so and so, and they want to do it through this platform."
Sure.
And so that's already started, and so you can see that, and that again is a good thing. But then when people are getting into it, the feedback is positive. It's like, wow, this is it's streamlining things. This is making life easier, and so we're getting that positive feedback already, and that's what's really nice to hear.
Well, the timing is right.
Yeah, for sure.
You guys seem like you have a good thing. It's called gosourcery.com. I'm excited. I think that I have an order out there right now for a hotel. Okay, 10 different manufacturers.
Yeah.
The POs are going to start to fly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Where's my products? Email. It has to be an outgoing email. Then they send me an automated email, and I delete the automated email.
Yeah.
Like I know exactly what the problem
Bring it all
is.
in.
Bring it
Yeah.
all into
Yeah.
one place,
You
and
got
then
it.
you have your project, and this is what we're working on, and off the stuff goes. I've heard of a couple. This is the most unique one I've heard, and this is why I asked you for the language, because that there's different software languages that are more user friendly on the user experience side. If any developers working there, I know I'm messing it up. I call it the Nintendo, Sega Genesis, whatever you guys talk about.
Yeah.
But I'm just curious about that. Any final thoughts? Let's go first with Paul. Any final thoughts for the Get a Grip on Lighting listeners, mostly distributors? Tell them what you think.
I just think that everybody's got to give it a chance, and I think that if people go into it with an open mind, I always say this, when we're doing our calls, Amazon once sold books. only.
Sure.
And so look where it is today. So, if people are willing to take that risk and give something a chance, a new platform, I think what they'll see, not just today, but where it's going to be in 2, 5, 10 years, it's going to revolutionize the way that business is done today.
The other thing that it just occurred to me when you were saying that, and it's like, not every user in every company will use this.
No. And we don't want that to be honest.
Like I actually only have one guy that might use this.
Yes.
Right.
Manager library, yep.
Yeah, where he's like picking fixtures and working with specifiers. He does all those kind of projects.
100%.
Like I would just have him use it.
Yep.
Yep.
Inside of our own company. We've only got, probably half the company is on Sourcery. The other half, they don't need to be.
Yeah, that's what it's like. It's almost like if you're a company, you're thinking about this, you got to think about who's going to use it.
Yep.
And get them to have a look at it, take the demo online. I'm sure you guys have an online demo and all that, right?
That's
Yeah,
actually that's a complicated process. When you're talking about the likes of a Gensler, let's say architect, who's got 6,000 employees worldwide, telling a Gensler senior executive how they're going to use this, because you don't even know whom in their office is going to benefit from this. And
Sure.
so there's a nuance to that,
Yeah,
right?
for
And
sure.
so from our own side, we've got to be able to explain to them how it's going to be of value to them, because not everybody in their organization is going to care.
Yeah. Ben.
Yeah, I'd echo a lot of that. But the thing is, we touched on it earlier, is like, look at all the consumer platforms you use, Uber, Spotify.
Sure.
Like, we're going this direction.
Yeah.
And so people will be resistant to that. We're aware of that. But
Sure.
give it a chance, and it will make everybody, like, the efficiency gained will be worth the time for adoption. And that's all I can say, is that look at everything else in your life, renting movies, listening to music,
Groceries.
ordering groceries.
Yeah.
This is the way we're going. And so we're trying to create something that's user-friendly for everybody within our industry that is headed that direction as well.
So listen, folks, listening to this. Uber is simple. Facebook is simple. They're simple things, concepts. Yeah, the guys who came up with them were genius, but I think Sourcery is better described as elegant, because it's we're trying to solve these digital problems as an industry, and we need software to do it. It'll make everybody richer. Don't worry about it. These types of things are not productivity killer. They're not productivity killers. They're productivity improvers. And if you made it all the way to the end, I think about 34 minutes. Hey, I speak for Greg, who's got to pay that internet bill over in Minnesota. Bye for now, guys. See you. So you got to check out GoSourcery.com. Yeah, it's a wordplay. GoSourcery.com. That's right. Sourcery, it means they're making the source really easy. It's a real magic type of website, Greg, Ehrich. You mentioned in the intro that it's great for distributors. I think we need a hub. And they're bringing in their curated product library, so a manufacturer can, it's not a data dump. They can, put something together for you special just for that specifier, just for that distributor, where he can look at the products he orders and track it all the way through to the end. Wild stuff, man.
Yeah, you think about it. So I brought up at the beginning the distributor side, but the manufacturer side too. Like, partner with them, because now you make everyone's life easier. Manufacturer, you don't have everything. Right. And sometimes you have a project where that manufacturer doesn't have it, but they have 75% of what you need.
Yeah.
You need to source the other 25% from someone. If they partner together, everybody wins.
The other thing is, like, you got to live in reality. Specifiers, distributors, the people that are buying this stuff on the front lines here. You have a stable of suppliers. Yeah, you want to be loyal, but you have a couple that you work with on a regular basis. And sometimes, like you said, you got to live in the real world, manufacturers. And you got to know that distributors are doing this. I think Go Sourcery might have a chance, Greg. I think it's an interesting product. I'm on the website right now. Connect, collaborate, manage project specifications all in one spot. It's the most complete one of these I've seen thus far. And we've seen a couple.
Yeah. And it says you can try it for free on their website. So give it a shot.
Give it a shot. Distributor specifiers. And what the other thing we were talking about during the show? It's not like you need to have everyone in your company on this. There's probably, one or two guys or two or three people at Premier that would need to use this, right? The warehouse guy or whatever. Same with me. It's not like everybody's going to be on it. So find a person in your company and give it a try. Go to GoSourcery.com. That's GoSourcery.com. Of course, this show is presented by the National Association of Innovative Lighting Distributors. Go to NALD.org and get down to our convention September 13th through 16th in Dallas, Texas. That's right, in the Market Center. We're going to keep it hot, Greg, Ehrich.
We are, as we always do.
That's right. And folks, if you made it to the end, thanks for listening to the ads. This is an ad-supported program, so thanks for listening. Join Nailed if you're a distributor. Bye for now.